welcome to the Painted Bride Quarterly Slush Pile. We thought of this podcast as a way to share with you our editorial process. We hope you like it. We hope you enjoy it. And we hope you understand why it takes so long for us to respond to you. Keep sending work to Painted Bride because we care this much. You're about to hear just how much. I'm going to start in Philly because that's what I always do. I am Kathleen Volkmiller, and we're here in the Corman studio in Philadelphia. And on my left is a very special guest, Tammy Polino. Hi, Tammy.
Hi, good morning.
Can you tell us anything about you?
Sure. I live in Collingswood, New Jersey.
Woohoo!
I'm a journalist for the USA Today network in the Midatlantic region. Focusing on features and primarily food these days because that's what people want to read about.
Sure. Who doesn't want to focus on food? And I love that you're not listing. And I'm a poet. She's a poet. She's a very good friend of BJ Ward's, and she runs poetry things as well. So yeah, busy writing lady. And next to her is Tim Fitz.
Hello, I'm Tim Fitz, and I teach here at Drexel, and I'm a short story writer and novelist. I have 2 short story collections out, Go Home and Cry for Yourselves and Hypothermia. And sitting next to me is Britt.
Hello, everyone. I am Britt, and I am the co-op for Drexel Publishing Group.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Okay, and so we have 2 for the other 2 of our triumvirate are out in the world at large. We've got, I don't know why I always bounce it to Marion first, but I do. Marion, the farther away one. Talk to us.
Yes, the further away and upside down one. I love that Tammy said good morning because I'm about to say good evening. It's 6:30 here in the evening in Abu Dhabi. This is Marion Wren. I direct the writing program here at NYU out here in Abu Dhabi, and I am a longtime passionate collaborator and editor in the Painted Bride Quarterly project. And I'm going to bounce it from way out here in the Middle East to Brooklyn. Boink.
Hi. I'm actually in Tribeca again today. I'm back in my office. I converted my my desk into a standing desk. And but it looks.
I want to see how you converted it.
It's ridiculous. Well, I just moved the monitor on top of the what do you call it? The CPU, the central processing unit.
Well, yeah, that's a way.
And then
MacGyver.
And then I put the keyboard on top of a Tupperware box that I keep food in because it's mouse proof. We have mice. So it's a little ragtag. I look a little crazy. If I started push pins with like red yarn to connect different things on my board, it would kind of fit.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
I love it.
I'm happily in my office at Tribeca with no windows, so I have no idea what the weather is like. It's like a casino.
Yeah,
it could be 2 a.m. It could be midnight. It could be 4 p.m. I don't know.
Yeah. We're in a windowless studio. My office is windowless, but I do have a real standing desk.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah. Well, it took me 3 years. They, I guess Drexel would buy like however many at a time, and it was literally a lottery system. You had to send an email. I want one, and then they would pick from whoever sent them and say, I want one. I'm not kidding. So I have a real one. But you know what? I'm gonna give everybody a tip. I saw somebody do this, a student who was a really busy woman, and she literally carried around with her 3 stacking plastic drawers. You know, imagine drawers that open, but all made of plastic. And in one, she had her laptop, and then another should have pencils and she carried a mobile desk with her everywhere she went.
Like not on wheels? Just
carrying them in her hands, carrying them in front of her, this little stack of boxes. Oh. And then she could stand at any table, pull the laptop out. And so imagine, maybe I shouldn't call them boxes as much as drawers.
I see it. I totally see it. I'm just it just sounds really like a lot to carry.
I guess
sounds cumbersome.
Right. But you know what? It worked for her, man. She was running around campus and she had everything she needed with her everywhere she went.
Did she have it in one of those like rolling backpacks? Like that would be awesome if she also had it like with wheels.
I don't know. I just know that she's going to be our president someday. That's all I know.
All I know is soon she'll be in charge.
And I am going on record as saying so. So anyway, okay, that's your tip for today, slushies. There might be more. Hold on. We'll see. Today, we have 3 poems by one poet. His name is Kyle Watson Brown, and we thank him profoundly for allowing us to read and discuss this work online. Who would like to read Too Many Funerals?
Can I read it?
Oh, I'd love for you to read it, Jason. Thank you.
Too many funerals. My undertows are not the ones I show you. Sheets of ice stained with salt and SPF 78 gunmetal grease runoffs sucking back the xenon haze. No shells, no towels, no balls of greasy dough, not even the quiet closure of junkie needles in you heel to mark the hours passing. That vanishing point where fingernails and necks and teeth conspire to meet, blind on February shores.
Thank you, sir.
What a great reading.
The syntax is so weird.
Oh my God, it's so weird. I'm so glad to hear you say
Right?
that.
The syntax is so weird. It's just like,
Happening?
it's
Like
so
that, is that like typo syntax? Like what is happening in that third stanza? No shells, no towels, no balls of greasy dough, not even the quiet closure of junkie needles in your heel.
Oh,
In you?
I didn't even try to make sense of it.
I took
was
that
like,
as a
No, but you
typo.
read it so beautifully. Now I don't know.
What are you saying, Tammy? The
I thought
spelling of heel?
I thought it was of junkie needles in your heel.
In
Yeah.
your heel. Mhm.
But Jason read it like addressing a heel, which is awesome.
yeah.
But can it also
It
mean,
could be.
could the typo be you heal, HEAL?
I think it's a foot.
Oh,
okay.
not even the quiet closure of junkie needles in you. That would be in you heels. No, because closure would be right. The noun for the verb.
It's spelled like the part of your body. It's not spelled
Right.
like getting better. And then
Right.
you can inject in your. I mean, junkies like have to find like increasingly like
Sure.
you run out of places to inject. You have to keep finding new veins, right?
But I think this is somebody stepping on a needle, like
Yeah,
the
me
ones
too.
they have in our
Oh.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the
Okay.
stepping on it.
Oh. Okay, I didn't. Yeah,
Because the heel doesn't have the vein.
I was so
inject it.
confused. It was like a Michael Palmer poem or something. I was just like, wow.
Unless you inject it into the meat.
But I don't know, like maybe, like, so I guess that's the thing, slushies. Like when a poem is like super strong and crafted, and then there are these moments where you're like, shit, is that intentional or is that a typo? Like we spend hours trying to figure that out.
That's why it takes us so long. It's your fault after
That's
all.
why it takes it so long.
Like, that's either genius or he forgot to proofread
Right.
or both, right? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, let's get over that part and read it as your, I guess, so that we can discuss other parts.
And I want to discuss the first line. My undertows are not the ones I show you. The first 2 lines, I'm in. Like that so pulls me in its weirdness and intimacy. Love it.
I agree. That just absolutely pulled me into the poem right away. And
Yeah.
I like that it is teasing that this is going to get intimate, but it doesn't quite do that. It keeps us at a distance. We stay on the shore.
That's a good way of putting it. I was thinking about that too. There is no intimacy. I'm observing.
Right.
Well, and also it sets you up to not really like the idea, so Too Many Funerals, you're expecting this poem about death, you're expecting this poem, and it's almost like funny. There's like a kind of dark humor to that, Too Many Funerals. And then My Undertows Are Not the One I Show You already sets up this kind of idea that what you're going to see is not what's there. That, I'm showing you these things, but there's also the ones that I'm not showing you. What I'm showing you is not the real one. Right? That my undertows are not the ones I show you. That what I'm showing you as my undertows are not the undertows that are my undertows. Like I was just like, I was so turned around. It takes so long to unpack.
Yeah.
And I'm totally in that line. I do get kind of lost in the third and fourth stanza. Like I kind of expected the image system from the second stanza to sort of like get explained. Like I don't understand SPF 78, and I don't understand xenon haze, and I don't understand like the grease, the gunmetal grease that comes back with the greasy dough. Like I don't really. Yeah. I'm totally
Isn't that
lost.
like the funk that you have on when it's snowed or rained and all that gunk that gets in the city gutters?
Mm-hmm. Dough is what didn't. Dough is a weird word choice for me. If you are, I hear what you're saying about being slush pile, right?
Yeah.
The sludge and the, grungy ice. Doughy, though, gives me something different than icy snowy.
Yeah, that image doesn't really resonate with me, that line, but
I think I was getting very boardwalk literal with that, even though I don't think this poem is really about the shore at all. But that's how I took it, because we say no shells, no towels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No balls of greasy dough, so no Zeppeli on the boardwalk. Like that's how I took it, which might be absolutely nothing to do with this, but that is why I wasn't totally pulled out of the poem.
Towels, I see why towels and undertow got you to the shore.
Right. Well, and shells.
Right.
Now, Junkie Needles works here, but I've been thinking a lot lately about the word junkie, because when we talk about stories in class, the word junkie comes up every once in a while. And it's occurred to me that word once was used to describe the heroin addict that you see nodding off, in the park or wherever. But now it seems to have transformed into an offensive term, because so many students have parents who have become heroin addicts that once they just got in a car wreck, they had a job, they were an insurance salesman, they got on opioids, then they started crushing the opioids and they ran out of opioids, and now they're on heroin. And when I use the word junkie, every once in a while I see a wince, and I think, uh-oh, that word's shifted. And maybe I should start saying heroin addict or something else instead of the slang, because it's not someone who was just playing with stuff that got out of hand. Mm-hmm. Those people we don't have as much sympathy for, because everybody knows what happens when you start shooting heroin. You turn into a junkie. But that's not what's happening anymore.
Well, in journalism, we've even shifted away from addict to a person with an addiction to opioids. That's, you're taking the label away, and with that distance, it's more of a condition than a label.
When I ask my classes how many have a firsthand addict in their family because of a doctor's irresponsibility, every hand goes up.
Get out of here.
It's everybody. It's so common. Like if someone's in their direct family, or, is the furthest is aunt or uncle. Everybody's got one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, see, I took, maybe it was the gunmetal grease shells. I thought were bullet shells.
Well, then where's the SPF for you? Because in common parlance, SPF means it's sunblock.
Sure.
Again, I don't see this as that's what the poem's about.
Right.
But to me, that is.
No, you're right. I thought no shell, like people are dying without bullets, no shells.
Right. Right. But we've got undertows, we've got SPF, we've got towels, we've got shells, we've got greasy dough, and we've got shores. So.
Right.
And it's you have this like very wintry ice and slush, and then you have this like very bright sun, and so that's a little confusing.
February. It's February. So nobody's at the shore.
We took
SPF 78. Like that. Is that like what? Does it come that high?
Yeah.
You can get it that high.
78's low now.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know about that,
the
but
cage
you
generation.
can. Yeah, you can get
78. Yeah.
I wear an SPF 50 every day.
You got to crank it up, Jason.
I'm
You
not.
do 100.
You better run.
At that point, I'm just going to wear white paint. Like any higher.
Run from
And
interior space to interior space. I am sitting here with a sunburned nose right now, and I don't want to get off on that tangent, but
I bet it's super cute.
I had layers of SPF on my nose this weekend, and I still got a sunburn.
Jason, you need to go get a scan. If you've been walking around only with 78, you need a scan.
All right, oddly, that brings us back to Too Many Funerals, which is the title of the poem, right? I know we're sort of joking around about skin cancer, but the poem, that title is leads me into the land of suffering and addiction for sure, right? And what was that Darren Aronofsky film that was like shot in
Requiem for a Dream?
That's it. Like the poem feels like it's working that milieu, right? Like a kind of, February beach town where people are deeply caught in their own horrific suffering, right? And yet the poem hits this like, I don't know, like atmospheric, lyrical quality, right? The vanishing point where fingernails and neck and teeth conspire to meet blind on February shores, right? Like it's a strange tone.
And is that vicious to you guys? Fingernails and necks and teeth?
Mm-hmm.
People clawing and chewing at each other? Like your neck is your most vulnerable part, right? And what do you have to defend yourself? Your neck, your nails, and your teeth. I don't know. Did I watch too many zombie shows?
No. We were driving down to Florida and we took the back road and took a wrong turn and ended up in Ocean City like 3 days before Christmas.
Like Ocean City, Maryland?
Maryland or Delaware or whatever.
It's Maryland.
It's all the same. It was just a nightmare ghost town. Mm-hmm. Square buildings, nobody but one dude in a hotel watching something on the internet.
When it's crowded, it's also
we know what he's watching.
He's watching something.
It smelled just like this poem.
Yeah.
I thought I got to get the hell out of here, and I was like a millimeter from E on the gas tank.
Yeah.
With 2 sleeping kids and a wife.
That sounds like
I had
a movie.
to convince that we were going straight to Florida, and we were at the dead end. I had to back up like 50 miles.
That is the beginning of a movie.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh my God. Can I tell you my very, very, very sad Ocean City story that is just like, it only takes like a second.
Okay.
I had this huge crush on this guy all through my sophomore year of college. I was madly in love with him.
Uh-huh.
And he invited me to spend a week with him in his parents' condo in Ocean City, Maryland.
Fabulous.
The week after classes ended. And I was so excited. And do you know why he invited me?
Why?
He respected me as a writer and wanted my feedback on the first chapter of his novel.
That bastard.
I know.
Also, Ocean City, Maryland is ruined space for you.
Go to hell, Ocean City, Maryland.
Free vacation.
Did he get the novel published?
No, I've never seen his name. He had the most amazing abs that were like, he'd been shot.
We don't care
His
about the
brother
novel.
Shot.
And like he had these sort of scars that were really sexy. It was
Shot
really,
himself in the stomach.
Oh, Jesus.
it was with like buckshot,
What a catch.
like BBs. Like it wasn't like,
Oh my God. All right, Team Awesome. Let us take a
we have
moment.
to get back to
I gotta tell you guys that because we have 4 in the studio, Joe's not on a mic, and Joe, as you know, sometimes it helps us out, and he just pantomimed to me, fingernails and necks and teeth could also be that when they get that spazzy itch.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When people with a heroin addiction, not addicts or junkies.
Very good.
People with a heroin addiction.
Duly noted. You get an A for the day in journalism class.
I'm from Baltimore.
Okay.
So, what would it mean by that vanishing point before that? How does that play into it?
The vanishing point?
Yes. Mark the hours passing that vanishing point.
No, if you read it as being about addiction, right, then that it all comes down to these kinds of scratches, itches. I think I've reversed my reading of Too Many Funerals as being kind of flippant or funny, and now that I'm reading it a little more literally and seeing like all of the image system is working about addiction, it kind of all comes into a different kind of focus.
Yeah. Could the vanishing point mean when you get high again? Don't you nod off and then, so that sort of disappearing, the vanishing point.
So I read it as perspective, right? Like it's quite literally on the Coney Island beach looking out at the sea. And so where the sea meets the sky and then vanishes like to my eye, right? Like it was a moment of being, period, right? A moment of being, right? Like the sort of torqued, addicted, junkie twitch, right? And then the perspective is looking out, from that place of standing on the boardwalk, to go back to Tammy, right? That initial reading.
Yeah.
But I don't know, right? I'm not 100% confident in that reading, but that's what it's happening in my head and my heart right now.
All right.
I just want to give one last, cheer to conspire in being used as a verb, because it's such a great verb. We need more poems with conspire in them.
Conspire to meet. Yeah. Guys, we do have 2 more by the same fella. So you feeling a vote? You feeling a vote? All right. So Marion's gonna send to me. Jason, are you writing to Joe?
I'm writing. Yeah, I can get back in the chat block this time.
All right. So what we do now, Tammy, is we go 1, 2, 3, vote, and we throw thumbs. Right? So it's up or down. No wishy-washy maybes. Up or down. And here we go. 1.
You could close your eyes. It's exciting that way.
Says Marion. 1, 2, 3. I get dizzy too easily. 1, 2, 3, vote. It's in.
Yay!
Thank you, Kyle. 1 down and 2 more to go. So now we're 1 for 3, right, Tim? I always need the baseball thing. One for 3 or one. What?
Right now we're one for one.
What was that?
Oh yeah.
1 for
we
1.
haven't done more than 1.
Yeah.
Got it.
The count is 1 and 0.
1 and 0. Okay.
But we're 1 for 1.
We're 1 for 1. Counts 1 and 0. I just hit my Facebook videos by accident.
Now we're 1 for 1.
Getting back off of Messenger somehow. I don't know. But what I do know is that we have another poem here from Kyle Watson Brown, and it's called Corner Work. And Tammy Polino is going to read it for us.
Woo!
Corner work. I'd start with the fat veins. Work south, the empty weeping chirps of valves closing. All the gaps and discs and tremors that make me from tooth to toenail. Black on carbon black, suspended in silence. The stupid red haze of your eyelids and nothing else.
Nice reading.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The stupid red haze of your eyelids.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. Well, and now that we've kind of focused the first poem on questions of addiction, and like this poem, I think, kind of coming into that from there, it's so focused. It's so gorgeous.
I agree. We haven't gotten obviously to the third poem yet, but this is such a trilogy to me. And I like, just as the title in the first poem gave us so much to, keep calling back to as we pulled the threads from it. Corner work as a title just really intrigued me because there are so many layers to that as a phrase or a word. To me, because I wasn't intimate with it as a Urban Dictionary word first, I thought I was going to look it up and find something about cross stitching or finishing the corner of a quilt.
Oh my goodness!
So I had needles in my head right away, but then I suspected there was a street, way of saying that. I don't know why I didn't know it as a phrase, but I looked it up, and obviously it's working the corner. So
as a prostitute or a drug dealer?
As a prostitute.
As a prostitute, okay.
At least that was what I took away
and
from
I
it.
assumed
prostitute. But in looking up the definition, the wonder of that is that it's also a boxing term, and it's the huddles in the corner in boxing. What goes on between the trainer and the boxer or the person with the towel, in the corner for boxing. So I loved that. And I'm sure we could find another one, but I loved that my misperception of it having to do with needlework brought needles back into my mind.
Wow.
Because that's obviously the realm that we're in here, but I could talk about this poem all day.
Well, please do.
Yeah.
Well, just keep it.
Everything you're saying is amazing.
Well, the other thing about the 3 poems for me is that there's definitely a palette, and it's mostly grays and almost like a washed away gray and a lot of blacks and the gunmetal and all of that. So when you get to the stupid red haze of your eyelids. Okay, I just said that like BJ Ward was here.
The rhythm of that is just amazing.
But the red jumps out like when you see those black and white photos, but they pick one thing to be in color.
Yeah.
It just, it's like a freaking exclamation point on that line. And I loved it. It's unforgettable.
Right.
Well, and the way that like the sound work in that, like the D's that kind of go across the line and the S and Z sounds that are kind of pulling back and forth, and like the really heavy density of stresses at the very beginning, and then kind of the lightness until it like lands back on that like really hard spondy of eyelids.
Right.
Oh my God.
And nothing else. Right.
Yeah.
And unlike the first one, it's so clear to me where we are with this. Sure. And it makes the first poem more understandable now when you have this context that I sort of feel like they are doing almost the same thing there at the end, the shrinking down to this one point and then no point.
And the character shrinks themselves down to that point. I love the self-identification as a junkie, all the gaps and discs and tremors that make me from tooth to toenail. Presents this person as a vehicle for heroin. You know, they're no longer a person.
Right.
They're just a vehicle.
Right. Right.
Wow.
And these works are almost clinically unemotional. Like we are not getting any sentiment other than you could argue the title in the first one, but we are not getting the sentiment. And the titles do so much heavy lifting also.
This reminds me a little bit of Richard Wright's haiku, how there's such a stark lack of sentimentality. It's just where you have to confront the images.
It's true.
It's awfully nice of the poet to do that.
Yeah. But it also doesn't seem pornographic. It doesn't seem like a violation of anybody's privacy either, in a way. It's like almost putting you there almost with the needle in your arm almost, but it doesn't seem voyeuristic.
I love that point, Tammy, right? Because it's not pornographic. It's specific from the side, right? Like it's coming at it from the side, and those images are just indelibly marked now, right? The stupid red haze of your eyelids, right? Or that make me from tooth to toenail, black on carbon black, suspended in silence. Like it creates the momentum for its own images to land, right? And stunning.
You said it's working from the side or coming to you from the side. It's coming to you from the corner.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We're done here.
Our work here is done.
There's just not a wasted phrase or word. There's just nothing I would take out.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing. We could argue if the W should be capitalized, but there's
I do find the eccentric capitalization frustrating.
Yeah, I was gonna I don't know if we want to spend a lot of time on that on air, but I think we should maybe have a talk with the poet about some of those capitalizations and see what's
But I think for the slushies to hear it too, I think that's something that, as editors, we always keep an eye to those like formal etiquette moves, right? Like, what are the conventions of capitalization at the first word of every line? And then what does the poem choose to do? What are the rules internal to the poem? And if the editor can't actually see what the rules are, right, according to the universe of the poem, it looks sloppy. So
exactly,
now what, right?
That's why I didn't want to talk to the slushies about it, because these poems are doing that and we're still reading them. So I guess
I get your point. But still, I think that's like a really important thing to say too. It's like when a poem is super powerful, right? Like a single typo isn't going to keep it from an editorial conversation, but the typos could, like they very well could. So keep an eye to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. And Tammy and I just spoke to a class and we're giving them journalism tips, writing tips, freelancer tips, all that stuff. And we were like, your work better be clean or you will be dismissed immediately. So that's still in my brain, I think.
I did want to say, however, that the work south has two ways of being interpreted here. That obviously we're going down the body and finding the veins and working our way to the feet, maybe all the way to the heel. I don't know. But in the definition of corner work as, work in the corner, whether it's prostitution or pushing, you're working your way south. So I did like that it kind of called back to the street corner, but I don't think it has to be capitalized.
Yeah. I think we're ready to vote on this one too. Am I rushing it? Do you want to keep talking?
No.
Yeah.
We're ready.
Okay. Let's do it to it.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, vote. And this one's unanimous. Woo! Now we're 2-0.
2-2?
2-0. 2 for 2.
2-4-2 in baseball. Or any
2-0 in football. 2 for 2. in baseball.
That's why I can never keep it straight.
30 love in tennis.
Oh my God. How come tennis is the only one with love? Let somebody look that up. Love. Why? Why is that even a score in tennis? How'd that happen? Marion Wren?
Yep.
I feel like you have a really strong connection today. I mean, I have a strong connection to you all day, every day.
All the time. All the time. All right. So listen, if I get raptured though, somebody better pick up the microphone.
It'll be me, baby girl. I'll jump right in there.
All right. Get ready.
I'm ready.
Do you want to know why it's called love in tennis? I found out.
Yes, please tell us.
Because in French, they refer to a zero, like the way we call it as an O, they call it an egg. And so l'œuf became love in English.
I love it.
As usual, we're the dumb ones, right?
Oh, well, everybody had to look it up.
So are we making...
No. The Americans thinking that they're hearing the word love when they're hearing a French phrase.
Lazy pronunciation.
Lazy American is what I meant. Not that you had to look it up. I would have had to.
No, you're right. I had the same thought. It's an accident. It's love because of an accident.
Right.
Mispronunciation.
False cognates.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's the important thing about we all walk around like 60% of what we see is what's really happening. The rest of it, we're making it up. Right?
God bless America. All right.
All of us.
Do I make up more? Like, is there a way?
I think you make up more than the average person. But that's what makes you, Jason.
And it's still not enough for me.
All right. So the third poem in this batch by Kyle Brown Watson is called Cagelight. Cagelight. Sugar blasted door frames so light you can press and drop to fly in the space where the boredom of transit makes even a wander into a mag swipe. Clogged artery anonymity of Mifflin street lamps to rest your face and bars and shadow they make for you, chilled and cold rolled and waiting for you. Are you there?
What's a mag swipe?
I'm sorry. That was the sound of thinking. The poem was meant by the sound of thinking.
Okay. I thought maybe I raptured you.
We went right into that thinking space.
Right? Exactly. So Cagelight, does that refer to an actual light, like a Klieg lamp or some sort of technical light?
Did you look up that?
I did, and I just did Google Images for that one, and it is any kind of industrial kind of lighting that has the cage, literally has the cage around it, so people don't break it.
Like you see, Marion, think about contractors. Mike had a bunch of those cage lights, the light bulbs in a cage, but otherwise freestanding, like you're carrying around the light bulb in a cage and hooking it onto poles and things.
And that's why the lights cast bars and shadows they make for you, across your face, because the light's coming to you with interruptions.
Yeah.
I just put up my fingers in a cross hatch pattern, on a podcast. So effective.
They all understood.
Charades.
I'm sure.
I don't feel quite the same compulsion from this one that I felt from the others.
Compulsion is such a great word. Yes.
Yeah, but the sugar blasted door frames don't quite draw me in. I don't. I mean, I don't know what it means, but it's also not as. I don't know. It doesn't have. It's not that it's not inventive. Like, it's absolutely inventive and sort of. And I keep misreading things that are really dire as whimsical. But I don't know, like, it just doesn't, like, the door frame, so like you can press and drop, but then it's like, the door maybe you can press and drop, but the door frame? I don't know.
I was on a contracting site from the get-go there because of the cage light.
Okay.
So I was thinking of cheaper construction, like we talk about new construction, apartments that are thrown up real quickly and you can literally push your hand through the drywall. I was in a house that wasn't finished, or a building of some kind that wasn't finished and is being made real cheaply. Because I guess I am still in the mind of people who are addicted to heroin. And therefore I was, camping out somewhere.
Yeah.
I might maybe in a house.
I'm entirely in a subway space in this poem, but I don't know if I'm aboard it and I'm going to push the door frame and drop out, or if I'm aboard, or if I'm on the platform and I'm going to push my way in. But I absolutely think that there's a subway or a train involved in this. Mag swipe is putting your card through, like we did this morning on Patco and SEPTA. Clogged artery anonymity, the street lands flying past, transit, the boredom of transit.
Yeah.
And I love that line where the boredom of transit makes even a wander into a mag swipe, which means you can't even just wander. You have to become this thing that's being tracked with a piece of plastic through technology. And the bars and shadows we talked about already. I get lost in the last line. I do feel that we're pulled back into a world of addiction with that last line, but I didn't understand it. I don't know if cold rolled is a dead body on the subway platform or if it's some drug term. I don't know. But I absolutely definitely get Metro from this.
I just don't feel the same sense of kind of vortex. Like, I don't feel the same sense of being kind of pulled into this space and this experience. I just, like, I don't know, just all of the things that were landing for me in the first two poems just don't land for me here.
Yeah, clogged artery and anonymity lands for me, but then
that's it.
Not a lot else. Yeah.
I mean, what did you like about clogged artery anonymity? That just felt kind of like
it would have worked in the other two poems, but this one, it doesn't have the same, like you say, vortex. I'm just not, it's like, the first three stanzas don't do too much. And then I get a spike, no pun intended, with clogged artery.
I like the sort of rhythm of chilled and cold, rolled and waiting for you. But even that, it doesn't have quite the same. It feels a little forced in a way that the other ones just sort of felt so effortless.
Yeah.
I had a micro movie. So I'm squatting in some kind of building. And then I move to the subway. And I definitely believe the children cold rolled and waiting for you are the drugs themselves. Joe, could you look up cold rolled for us?
I think it's referring to steel.
Mm-hmm.
Subway tracks.
Oh.
To rest your face in bars and shadow I
yes.
make for you, chilled and cold rolled.
Waiting to take you somewhere,
And
to
waiting
fly
for
into
you.
anonymity, or to lay on them and die.
That sounds like maybe the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe got it. It's cold rolled steel.
Yep.
I guess the waiting for you, I was just thinking of, the next hit. So, right. So it still could be the read of being in this, squatting somewhere and moving to the subway and just riding the rails.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I wonder, though, if this were pulled from the other two poems. We knew nothing of this poet's work. We hadn't read the two poems before this, if we'd immediately go to drugs. I'm not sure that we would.
Interesting.
The term rolled, of course, is going to make you think of drugs or weed or something. And artery, but we're taking artery in the context of the first two poems. If we didn't have them, an artery might not at all make you think of that, especially with the word transit in the poem. So trying to not let those influence me, I'm not sure I'd go to drugs.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Loyal Slushies and our editorial board knows that I'm usually the militant one. Like, no, look at this poem as a standalone.
Yeah.
And you're right. We're very much influenced by the other two. I mean, and to be fair, if we were to accept them, they would run together.
Mm-hmm.
So our readers would also maybe have a context.
Right.
But maybe not.
Right.
You don't know where they're going to drop in when it's online.
Mm-hmm. Now, if it said sugar blasted glass or mirrors, then that would be,
Right.
different.
Yeah. But I do think that things are always being read against each other, and maybe the internet has kind of blasted that open, and there is no sort of, maybe that's what I feel so unhinged by, is that we just sort of seem to live without context.
Yeah.
But
well, you guys,
I don't think that this poem does not, like, it feels to me like reading this poem with the kind of imagery and image system around addiction that we were considering earlier doesn't really work. And so I don't want to use that, but it's just that I don't have a sense of grounding, but I don't have a sense of pleasurable disorientation. That in the other poems, when I didn't know what was going on, I was sort of like still happy to be there.
Mm.
Should we vote? Or are we kind of at the end? Are there more things you want to talk about?
I think we can vote.
Okay.
Are you guys ready?
I think so.
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Hold on, I gotta fire up the engines here.
I wonder if anybody minds those sounds. It's kind of fun. Okay, 1, 2, 3, vote. Okay, this one's not going in. So, Kyle Brown Watson. I probably said your name in different orders every time I said it, and I apologize for that, but I thank you so much for these poems. 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
So great.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle.
Yeah. Yeah. What an, I was thinking, and I didn't get it said, about in olden times when we used to lay out the Painted Bride Quarterly and be so concerned about order. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
And we put a lot of effort, like albums, right? Like musicians do with albums, about where poems would sit next to one another. Mm-hmm. And since the internet, we have just gone online. I mean, online, we've gone alphabetical. right? Everything's just alphabetical. Yeah. So then we mirror that in the book and no longer take that sort of curation to how we present the text. So obviously poets would have all three of their poems in one section, but I just think people come at us so many different ways. It's difficult.
Well, I was also, things have gotten so much faster. When I was editing a journal that came out twice a year, and I sort of wanted to curate a full issue and kind of think about how the poems work together. If I waited more than 2 months, the poems were gone. People were submitting with such speed.
Oh, that happens to us still all the time. Yeah.
The patience that people used to have. Do you remember in like the 90s that if you simultaneously submitted, like you were doing something really naughty.
Yeah.
You really did not want to get caught doing that. And now, it seems impossible to ask people not to.
Right. Very few places are big enough to say don't.
Yeah. Right? So as long as you notify us when it goes away.
Right. Right. And we get, sometimes when I'm just poking around in submittable, so many say withdrawn. I go to open them and the label's withdrawn. That happens. Stuff gets slid out right from under us all the time.
And you'll have poems that are withdrawn like a day after they were submitted. 2 days after they were submitted.
Well, maybe those aren't necessarily getting accepted elsewhere, but they realize that at 3:00 in the morning when they're drunk, they're not really as smart as they thought they were.
Or they workshopped it that one more time and somebody lopped off the last 12 lines.
Right.
Which is every workshop I've ever been.
Yeah. Tammy knows from being on Facebook, I sometimes buy things late at night and then packages come and I have no idea what I purchased.
That's the best.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun. But I've actually opened things and not known what they were even when I saw them. Like, wait a minute. What do I do with this? Where's this go? And that's Stone Cold Sober. So does anybody have anything they'd like to share about what they're reading or doing or other exciting news?
Just hit a Whitman at 200 event if you can. Walt Whitman at 200. They're
just
great.
Oh yeah. I heard Mark Doty give a lecture about kind of based on his Whitman memoir at the Brooklyn Public Library. And they were having a whole festival for the 200th anniversary. And it was really wonderful. It was really interesting.
Yeah. Down here, since we kind of like to lay claim, in many ways, there's been a plethora of events coming out of Penn. We had a couple on campus, and I'm actually taking part in a reading, not a day long, like a 3-hour reading on his actual birthday at City Hall. And just last night, Tammy read and fireworks were shot off at the Camden Fireworks.
No.
No,
it's the gallery is called
Camden
Fireworks. It's an old firehouse.
I thought it was the actual fireworks because there's so many fireworks. They should have done fireworks.
It was Camden area poets reading Whitman and responding to Whitman. And by responding, I should say it's not all positive responses either, as legacy is a complicated one. And there are also wonderful events at his birthplace in Long Island. Manhattan has a bunch of cool things. Also during Pride Week, there'll be a lot of Whitman stuff. Upstate New York has some things. And Camden has a lot more going on. They have a birthday celebration also. And also down in Laurel Springs on June 1st, that's his birthday weekend. There is a big Walt Fest in Laurel Springs in South Jersey.
Oh, I didn't know any of those things.
There's some things on the Delaware River too. There's a barge with a multimedia event going on the Delaware River.
Wow.
So.
Very cool.
200. I hope I live that long.
Remember to ask for eternal youth.
Yeah.
You can't just ask for immortality.
Not in Ocean City, Maryland.
And get your scans.
Right.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's a deal with the devil. You get eternal youth, but you have to live it out in Ocean City, Maryland.
Tim has to bring us down. Here I am going, yay, fireworks and birthday cake and yay. And Tim reminds us. So anyhow, yeah. So thank you, Slushies, for listening, and let us know how we're doing, what you think of Whitman, what you think of what we do here, and keep reading. Woohoo!
Bye, guys.
Go team.